All right, you guys, this episode 7 of Inner Demons. I'm going to try to get this out real fast so that I can get this episode out tonight, man. I'm on the late freight again. It's been a hectic week, man. Real quick, I want to thank those of you that left comments for the last episode. As always, man, you guys are dropping positive comments, and I appreciate you guys, man. Let me jump straight into it. I listened to the tail end of episode 6, and I was all over the place. There's a couple things that... there's a couple loose ends that I need to tie up. So let me just jump straight back into it. Now, I told you guys that I was rolling around with one of my primas and one of her friends and the homie. And we were basically rolling around the Stoli, hitting licks, doing stupid shit, man. We were on a good little crime spree for about a week. Anyway, after the accident that I already told you guys about, I hit the pedestrian, and then that other car slammed into me. So there was people hurt in that other car, and there was the pedestrian that was hurt pretty bad. Anyway, like I told you guys, I made my way to the gas station. The homie and my prima got away. They had the female I was seeing, they had her hemmed up for about 45 minutes, probably longer than that, man. But like I told you guys, I was stuck at that gas station. It was on a corner, and these cops literally had that whole corner. I mean, they had it flooded. There was cops everywhere, man. They were towing the car away. They were out there interrogating her. Anyway, so like I told you guys in the last episode, I was in that bathroom for about a good 20 to 30 minutes before something told me to leave up out of there, man, and to just go in the female's bathroom. So that's what I did, man. I walked out and I walked into the other bathroom. Not even a fucking minute later, man, a fucking cop walked in to use the bathroom. I don't have that kind of luck, man, but that day I won. So anyway, he used the bathroom. I'm like, fuck, I'm tripping, man, like this motherfucker. I barely slipped that one. He goes back to doing whatever the fuck he was doing. She comes to use the bathroom real quick, so I get to holler at her real quick, and she's telling me, you know, I think this I think he likes me. I think they're gonna let me go. They're looking for you. She didn't know for sure, but she had told me that she thought that the homie and my prima got away, but that, you know, that there was a couple people that were hurt and they were looking for me. So I knew it was a serious situation, and I was tripping, man. You know what I mean? But anyway, I tell her, go out there, try to talk her way out of it. She said she gave him a fucking different description. So she went back out there. She was doing her thing. At one point, what I didn't tell you guys before I jumped off into something else is, so while I went back into the men's bathroom. So I posted up right there, and I'm watching, man, through the crack of the door. I'm waiting for these guys to leave, but they're out there for a long fucking time, man, waiting for the tow truck to get over there, fucking jack the car up, take it. Anyway, while I'm in the bathroom, in the men's bathroom again, I can see, like the walls are real thin, the gas station walls, man. There's like some fucking screw holes, so I can see out to where the mechanics are at. Well, this one mechanic comes to use the fucking bathroom. He walks in, and when he walks in, he's like, oh, and I'm like, hey, hold up, man, because he was about to leave. And I'm like, hey, man, let me talk to you, man. He was like, what's going on, man? And I was like, hey, man, you ain't gonna say nothing, are you? And he's like, man, you know, you hurt some people really bad back there, and they're looking for you, man. Yeah, I know that. You know what I mean? I know, man. It was a fucking accident, man. You know what I mean? He was like, man. He was like, look, man. We'll just see what my conscience tells me when I walk out. He was like, you know, I'm not gonna say nothing, man. He's like, but you know, hopefully my conscience doesn't tell me otherwise. See, I remember he said something like that, because for a brief minute I thought about just, man, should I just try to knock this fool out? But what happens if I couldn't knock the motherfucker out? This motherfucker might know judo or something, you know what I mean? Judo know, you know, he might have knew something, right? Or it might not have went like that, and I might have made a lot of fucking noise in there. So I had to let the dude go, man. So I was watching him through the hole in the wall, and he went back to doing what he was doing. He went back to working on the car, and the motherfucker didn't say nothing. So I watched, and all the way up until they finally jacked the car up. They end up fucking putting her in cuffs, and they took her. Once they all cut out and they bounced, man, I think I did get this far. I think I might have even, hopefully I didn't already go through this. But anyway, after they all finally left and the coast was clear, I came out and I was like, I told the mechanics, I'm like, hey man, fuck, I probably look like a fucking straight bum, man. But I was like, hey man, you got $1 or something? I could jump on the fucking BART, man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no fucking way to get back to the city. And they're like, man, hey, just leave already, dude. You caused enough problems, man. These motherfuckers been out here for the last 2-3 hours. You know what I mean? You know, plus, besides that, you know what you did back there ain't cool, man. I'm like, I'm gone, man. I'm out of here. So I jogged to the BART, jumped on the BART, and I just jumped the BART, jumping the BART. For those of you that don't know what means jumping the BART, because I didn't have no fucking money to get on that motherfucker. So somebody put their ticket in. I put my hands on the thing and just kind of like slid right in, right behind them. Anyway, yeah. I forget, man, what robbery anyway, that same night, stupid ass, man, I believe it was that same night, man, I ended up catching another robbery. I caught another robbery, man. It was a strong arm robbery. I got caught in the act. SFPD drove right up on me while I was in the act, and I had the fucking knife in my hand. It was, you know, I've caught other robberies like that in San Francisco. Like I said, man, it's a liberal county. It used to be real liberal. I used to get caught like that. Not only robberies, burglaries and other shit. You know what I mean? Assaults. And they used to kick the case out and just let me do my violation. Well, this time they didn't. They picked the fucking case up. So what happened is I hit the county jail. And that's when all this had happened before I caught those stickings. I had backed up and kind of retraced my footsteps. All that happened before I hit the county jail. So now let me go back up to where I was in the county jail. So now I'm in the county jail and I'm fighting this robbery, and I'm fighting San Mateo picked up that fucking that auto theft from that car that we were no, it was another car. It was a different car, man. I'm tripping. So we had stolen another car, and my little prima had I think one of her little friends stole it. And anyway, so I was driving around in that car for a while. They ran some prints on it. They got my prints out the motherfucker, man. They hit me with the auto burglary. Anyway, so now I'm in the county jail. I'm going back and forth between San Francisco and San Mateo fighting these two cases. Fucking auto theft was weak, man. But these motherfuckers were still trying to pick it up and give me I think they were trying to send me to prison for this shit, like a 16, 2, and 3 or some shit like that. But anyway, so I'm going back and forth between the two county jails. I think I was probably in there about 17 months, man, fighting these cases. So what happened is the case that I had in San Francisco, they kept on postponing it because the victim never showed up to prelim. Every time we got ready to go to prelim, the motherfucker would be a no-show. It got to the point, man, where my lawyer was like, hey, fuck that, man. You know, this dude's not showing. You need to kick the case out or do something. I mean, all you guys are doing is just buying time and letting this dude get more time. If he's not showing, drop the case on my client. But they didn't want to drop the fucking case, man. So what they did is they pulled a dirty ass move, man. So the final time I was getting ready to go to court, and the judge had agreed, you know what, if the victim doesn't show up on this next court appearance, I'll entertain the thought of dropping the case, right? So say it was like, say for argument's sake, I had a court date on the 3rd. Say it was on the 3rd of March. Well, on the, what was it on the, it was on the 1st of March. What they did was, out of nowhere, at like 17 months later, they just came up and had me sign some OR paperwork, releasing me on my own recognizance, right? So anyway, when the deputy comes up for me to sign the paperwork, I sign it. Hell yeah, I'm gonna get released. They're like, yeah, you know, they're releasing you on your own recognizance. I'm like, cool. So I signed the paper. Well, anyway, the homie, when I go back to the table, we're playing pinochle, and the homie was like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Man, these motherfuckers OR me, bro. You know what I mean?" And he was like, "Oh, tell me you didn't sign that paperwork." And I'm like, "I did." He was like, I said, "Why? Fuck, why wouldn't I?" He was like, "Homie, bro." He knew my situation. I had ran down my whole court case to him out of both counties, so he knew everything that was going on. He was like, "Bro, you don't see what they're doing? They're buying more time. So they're releasing you now, knowing that San Mateo is going to come pick you up, which is going to give them more time to fucking let the victim come back." So, because, you know, I didn't even trip on the other case in San Mateo. I hadn't done enough time to know how it worked at that time. And I thought, you know, when I signed that paperwork, I was going to get kicked out that night. I didn't know that other county would have 5 days to come pick me up. So they didn't even wait the full 5 days. They came and got me that same night. San Mateo came and get me that same night. So on the books in Frisco, I'm OR. They OR me, right? I had court like 2 days later. So I go to San Mateo, and by this time the auto theft case is pretty much already, it had already progressed to where it was like they were coming at me with the deal, and they were trying to resolve the issue, resolve the case. I think they offered me I don't remember what it was. It could have been like 2 years, 3 years or something, joint suspended, with so much probation or I don't know, man. I don't remember the exact terms, but part of the agreement was that I was to get released that night. That's all I cared about. I didn't give a fuck if it was 10-year joint suspended, 20 years joint suspended with 15 years probation. I didn't even trip on none of that. All I seen was that I was getting released that night. Now, San Mateo released me. Frisco had no way to come and get me. I was released on the books over there. So technically I was getting ready to get out now for real. So at that time I had been in contact with the female that one of the homies had hooked me up with. She was out of Daly City. I'm not gonna put her name out there, but I had been writing her for about a good year when I was in the county jail, and I saw, you know, you guys know how it is, man. When you're in there and we're corresponding with some of these females, and we're running game on them, man. At that point in time, my whole purpose for her was I was utilizing her. She was looking out for me. She was making sure I was going to the store. She was making sure I had money on the books to call, or money on the phone to call, and you know, that's what it was, man. You know, I sold her a dream. You know, I basically told her everything she wanted to hear. Hey, when I get out, it's gonna be me and you. I'm gonna leave that criminal lifestyle behind. I'm not gonna get in trouble no more dope. I'm gonna walk the straight and narrow. That, you know, I told her everything she wanted to hear. She was young, but she wanted to settle down. She wanted a relationship. She wanted somebody to be a father to her She had just had a baby, man. I believe her baby at that time must have it could she couldn't have been no more than, I want to say, 4 months, 5 months. She was an infant. She was tiny. She was just barely out. She just barely came into the world. Anyway, so when I went to court that day in San Mateo and they cut me loose, I remember I was in the court holding tank, right? So there was a white dude in there, and he had went into court before me. I didn't know him, never spoke to him, didn't know the dude for shit. But he went into court, he came out, and they released him, and he had a green piece of paper in his hand. He was like, fuck, dude, he was all happy. So he just started fucking talking to everybody. Man, cool, I'm getting released tonight, and you know what I mean, fuck, it's about time, man. And so anyway, I'm just sitting there just listening to the dude, and then I go into court, and I get released, and they hand me the same piece of paper, a green piece of paper. They signed off on it, shit. So when I come back into the holding tank, he sees that green paper, and he's like, dude, they released you too. And I'm like, yeah, man, they OR me, man, or they let, I forget what it was. I don't think it was OR. They released me as part of the terms of that deal. Not sure what it might have been OR. I don't know. So he's like, man, fuck, dude, what are you gonna do tonight? What are you doing, man? I was like, man, I don't know. I'm from Frisco. I ain't got no way to get back to the city. And by the time, what time they release us? And he was like, man, we're probably not gonna get released till later, right? So I'm like, fuck, I don't know, man. I ain't got no way to get back to the city. I got this female. She's gonna be out there in front of the jail when I get out. I don't know, man. He was like, dude, you wanna go party, man? You can come kick it at my pad, bro. You know what I'm saying? You could bring her. You guys could spend the night, and in the morning, I'll see if my boy can get you guys. If I can get you a ride back, right? I'm like, fuck, hell yeah, bro. Yeah, let's do it. You know what I mean? Give me your number, bro. So if you get out, or if I get out before you, man, I know how to tap in. So anyway, we exchange info. Boom. That night, I get released. He's out. He just so happened to be in the holding tank with me when we're getting kicked out. Me, him, and a bunch of other cats. So I'm like, I don't know. He got out first. I got out first. Whichever one, we're like, hey, we'll just wait out there. If it was me, I'll wait out there. I'll be out there waiting for you, bro. So when I come out, I finally get dressed out. I come out. The female's out there. She's got her little girl with her. She's got her baby with her, and I at that time is when I told her, I'm like, hey, we'll kick it with this cat. He said it's cool for us to crash. It's kind of cool this way. You know what I mean? We're not gonna be running around with your baby. You know what I mean? Your daughter. We'll just kick it at his pad, and in the morning they're gonna take us to the city, right? So she was good with it, man. We were supposed to go to her pad, and I was supposed to meet her mom, and we're supposed to be a big happy family with the picket fence and a little chihuahua. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, man. So when this dude comes out, we end up linking up, and we go to his pad. He lived kind of close to the jail, so we go to his pad, man. The first thing we do is we get I don't know, we got a couple 40s or a couple 6-packs of fucking Mickeys, and whatever it was, man, with some malt liquor. I was drinking like a motherfucker, man. I got faded that first night. I've been clean for about, I don't know, it was over a year. I know it was over a year. So I'm drinking. I wasn't that long, man. It was probably about a good 5-6 months, man. Because I was still 18 when I hit the joint. Anyway, so we get to his pad that night, man, and we're drinking and we're kicking it, and the female, she's getting kind of irritated because her baby's there. She said, I'm just kick back and crash. You know what I mean? In the morning, I want to go. I don't want to hang out here all day tomorrow. I ain't feeling this. And I'm like, okay, cool, man. So we kicked it that night, man. we kicked it that night, and the next morning, when when we wake up, uh, first thing I do is I start drinking. Before I even put some food in my stomach, man, I start drinking. I'm already drinking and shit. And this dude, the dude that we were, the guy that whose pad we were at, he's like, hey man, I got my boy coming over. He's like, you smoke rock? And I was like, nah. Hey, this is when crack just barely hit the scene. This shit, I had tried it one time when some dude, man, when I was in Frisco, I'd sold some dude some dope, and this is the first time that I had been exposed to it. He pulled out a rock and a pipe, and he's like, here, try this shit, man. I felt like I was gonna fucking die. I hit that fucking pipe. Anyway, so he asked me if I smoked that shit, and I was like, nah, man, it ain't my thing, bro. You know what I mean? It ain't my thing. He was like, well, my boy's gonna come over, and I'm gonna try to see if I can get an advance from my work, so we can get some more dope. And I'm like, okay, cool. Meanwhile, the female's tripping. She's pissed off. She's giving me the cold shoulder, silent treatment now. She don't want to talk because she's mad because we're still here, and you know, we should be on the first thing smoking in the morning, going to her pad. I don't blame her, man. She had her baby with her, and shit was about to go foul, man. So anyway, this guy's friend comes over, right? These guys, they were like chameleons, man. I didn't see it until later the way that they looked when they were all preppied up. But, you know, when we were kicking it that night, they had rock shirts on, AC/DC, Metallica, whatever. They just looked like some straight little white cats, little rocker type of cats, right? So his friend comes over, he introduces me to him, and he's like, let's go to my work real quick, and we're gonna try to get this money. So we jump in his friend's car and we go to his job. He asks his boss if he can get an advance. I guess his boss told him come back in an hour. Give it to him. So now we're driving around East Palo Alto. We're driving around EPA. These dudes are trying to get cracked. They're fiending like a motherfucker, man. They managed to get a little something, and we go back to his crib, man. And so we're at his crib, and they're smoking that shit. And he's like, hey man, you want to hit this shit? And I'm clean, but I was a little dope fiend back then, man. You know what I mean? I'm clean. I ain't really had no head change, but some fucking some beer, alcohol. So I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I hit it. Soon as I say that, I look over at the female. She gives me motherfucking the evil eye, man, and she just like, you know, all the shit you told me. You know what I mean? It's all bullshit, you lying motherfucker, you know what I mean? Ain't no fucking me and you, ain't no you gonna be clean. And everything I had told her, she's seen that it was all going foul, man. I had no intentions on staying clean, no intentions on getting out, doing the right thing. Anyway, so the worst thing that they could have done was give me a hit of that shit, man. Because it made me violent. That's what it did, man. Coke, even when I used to speedball, when I used to get high on that shit, man, it had me all amped up where I wanted to hurt somebody. I mean, when I used to drink it, when I was a youngster, it was almost the same thing. I can drink now, I can drink my alcohol, and I can enjoy myself, and I can kick it, and I'm a happy drunk now, man. You know what I mean? When I do drink. But back then, man, I drank alcohol, and it was like the gloves went on, and I wanted to fight anybody and everybody, man. Anyway, so I take a hit of this shit, man. Now I'm tripping. You know what I mean? I'm tripping. My mind starts. I'm starting to plot on these dudes now. You know what I mean? These dudes are, they're trying to figure out a way. They're plotting on some dope, and I'm plotting on them. Anyway, I tell the dude I got released from, hey man, let me get a butcher knife so that when I get back to the city, I can do my robberies, right? And he was like, okay, cool, you know what I mean? So he gives me a big ass fucking nasty butcher knife, and I get it, and he had some newspaper, and I took the newspaper and I rolled it up in the newspaper and I put it in my fucking waistband. So I'm like, hey, bro, look, she wants to book, you know what I mean? We can't stay out here all day, man. Whatever you guys got going on, man, let's do it so we can book, bro. We gotta cut tread, man. I gotta get back to the city. And he's like, my boss said to come back in an hour and we should be good in about another 10, 15 minutes, man. He was like, let me just check on a couple other places real quick where I might be able to get some money so that we can get a little bit more dope. So anyway, man, it turns into a wild goose chase, man. These motherfuckers, now they're going by all kind of fucking houses trying to borrow 5, 10, 15 bucks from everybody that they know. And at one point I'm like, hey, look, man, the female was pissed off. So anyway, she's not even talking to me. She's pissed off, right? So I tell him, I'm like, look, man, look, you guys want some more dope? Because I'm just driving around fucking knocking on fucking 100 doors trying to get some fucking chump change. Look, go back down to the dope spot, and when you get down there, let me drive. I'll get you some fucking dope, man, so we can get the fuck on. And was like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, don't worry about it, man. When you get down there, let me drive. I'm gonna show you, man. So anyway, they drive back down to East Palo Alto. When we get back down there, he pulls over, he gets out, he gets in the back seat. I get out, I get in the front seat. I take the butcher knife, take it out, and I put it right here. I take it out of the fucking the newspaper, and I put it between my hip and the seat so I can grab it. So we drive down to the dope spot where we got a bunch of dudes that are out in the middle of the street selling fucking dubs and dimes and nicks and bumps. So anyway, I pull up and I'm like, hey man, I roll the window down. I'm like, hey, who got the dubs, right? And this Africano goes, I got them right here, homie. He was like, I got the fat ones, dog. He was like, pull over and check them out, right? And I'm like, bro, look, I'm in a hurry, man. I'm like, let me see him, bro. So he's like, man, he's like, get out the car, man. I'm like, nah, man, I'm not getting out the car. If you ain't gonna let me see him, I'm gonna go somewhere else. He was like, at least put the car in park, man. You know what I mean? I had motherfuckers try to drive off. Man, ain't nobody gonna try to drive off with your shit. Anyway, so he comes up to the window and he leans in and he puts his hand in and he's got a handful of dubs, and I'm looking at him, right? So I grab one. It's a fat, chunky one. I look at it and I tell homie, I'm like, hey, what do you think about that? And I hand it to him and he's like, hell yeah. So I grab another one. I'm looking at it. What about this one? Anyway, when at some point when I go to grab the third or the fourth one, I just slap his hand. Bah! I slapped his hand. Rocks flew everywhere, and I did it in one quick motion. I slapped his hand and I reached for the blade at the same time. And as I reached for the blade, I went to stick this motherfucker with it. It was like slap, grab, try to stab him with it. But you know, he seen it coming. He jumped back, and I punched it, man. I when he told me to throw it in park, I threw it in park, but I threw it back in drive. So the car was still in gear, man. So when I did it, I did that shit in one motion. Slapped his hand, grabbed the knife, try to poke this fool. He jumped back. I punch off, man, and I'm gone. I drive a little distance, and I tell everybody, don't fucking touch nothing. Don't, because the rocks were all over the floor. They were all over, somewhere in the seats, somewhere. It was about a good 10 rocks. It was about a good 10 of them, 10 dubs. I peeled that fool for all this shit. That's probably all the dope he had, man. Anyway, at one point I pull over and I tell everybody, get out. Everybody get out. And I tell the bride, the female that I was with, to help me find the rocks. So we're looking and I'm finding them. Shit, they're in the seat, on the floor, on the floorboard, and I get them all. And I give them to her. I tell her, hold them. So she don't want to hold them, but she ain't, at this point, man, she ain't got no choice. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to sound like an asshole, but straight up, you know what I mean? I knew she was upset, but I was to the point where like I'm to the point like I ain't trying to hear all that. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, man. Anyway, I get back in the back seat with her and shit, and I tell these dudes, hey, I give them like 1 or 2 rocks, and I tell them, just drop us off at a bus stop, man. Drop us off at a bus stop, we'll catch the fucking bus. I got a book, man. She's tripping, you know what I mean? So they pull over real quick, they smoke their little dope, and now I start tripping, you know what I mean? Now I'm fucking, the dope's getting to me, and I got the knife in the back seat. And let me see, show you guys, like, just give you an example. Probably look like a fucking nut, but I had the knife, I had it like this, and I was doing this. I was just like, fuck. I was sitting there fucking just doing that, and the female looks over at me and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? What's the matter with you, man? I was tweaking on the dope, man, straight up. And I told her, I'm gonna fucking cut his throat and I'm gonna stab this motherfucker, man, straight up. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? She's like, dude, let me out of this fucking car, man. She was like, if you're gonna do something stupid, don't disrespect my baby. You know, when I think back on it, man, it was fucked up. I was 18 years old. I'm not making excuses for myself, but I was my mentality was I just had a real negative mentality back in those days. I had a real negative outlook on life, man. I didn't care about shit. I didn't care about catching time. I didn't care about hurting somebody. I didn't care about catching cases. I just didn't care, man. And robberies and burglaries and all that type of shit, home invasions and all that, that's what I was doing. That's what I was into, man, straight up. So anyway, when she tells me this, I tell her, you know, I'm already kind of fed up with her shit. I'm already to the point where, like, I'm like, she's gonna bounce when we get back. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? So I tell her, man, shut the fuck up, man. You know what I mean? Just shut up, man. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do what the fuck I'm gonna do, and just let me do my thing. It'll be cool, man. It'll be cool. You know what I mean? And she's all, man, don't disrespect me. Seriously, you're scaring me. And I'm like, man, it'll be all right. Don't worry about it. So before they take us to the bus stop, this dude goes back by his job. He goes back by his job and he gets the advance from his boss, right? He gets the advance from his boss. Right down the street, there's the bank. He cashes the check. Now this fool got some money. So we're on El Camino Real. For those of you that are familiar with San Mateo and that area, that's like a main street that goes all the way. That goes all the way through like Frisco, and Redwood City, Brisbane, all them little cities, man, Belmont. Anyway, he goes, all right, man, we're gonna drop you off at a bus stop now, right? So I'm like, okay, cool, man. So he drives up to this one bus stop. The first one we pull up to, I can already see it when we're getting ready to pull up to it. It's the wrong bus stop. There's too many people there. So when we pull up, I'm like, I'm pumped up now. I'm pumped myself up to do this shit. But I tell him, hey, man, can you just take us to the next one? You know what I mean? There's a store up by the next one. You know what I mean? Just go one more up. So he's like, all right, man. So we drive up to the next one. Boom, jackpot. We get up to the next one. There's nobody there waiting at the bus stop. There's nobody there. It's empty. So Soon as we pull over, man, as soon as the car comes to a stop. Now this was kind of important as far as the case, because the car was stopped when I drew down on these dudes. This is where they tried to say I had an active kidnap, a double kidnap, but it ended up being a false imprisonment. Anyway, as soon as the car stopped, I grabbed the driver by the hair, grabbed a handful of his hair, and I put the knife to his throat. And I told the dude that I got released with, give her the money. Give her the fucking money, bro. And he's like, bro, it's like, really, man? That's how you gonna, for real, bro? You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, give her the fucking money. I'm not playing with you, man. I'll cut this motherfucker's throat. And he's like, calm down, bro, calm down. He's like, here, man, here. So now she's tripping, you know what I mean? But I tell her, grab the fucking money. She doesn't want to grab the money. Grab the fucking money, man. So she grabs the money, and I tell homeboy, get out the fucking car, man. Get out and walk. Just go. And he's like, dude, he's still trying to talk to me. Dude, you ain't got to do this, man. You want to ride to the city? We'll give you a ride to the city. But I'm beyond talking now. I'm already all in now, man. So I got the driver by the hair. I got the knife to his throat. I wasn't gonna do nothing to the dude. I know I was tweaking on that shit, man, but I still remember the events of what happened clearly. And you know, later on they would try to say that I purposely tried to cut his throat, which I didn't. What happened was I was holding him by the hair. I had the knife to his throat. I was contact. And I told him, open the door. And I was telling him, hey, man, don't fucking try to run, man. Listen to what the fuck I'm telling you. Open the fucking door. I was giving him instructions, so he opened up the door. And then I told him, man, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I was still holding him, and he tried to run. He tried to fucking push out. Like, I guess he thought I was gonna cut his throat, or thought I was gonna stab him. So in him doing that, I instinctively, it was my reflexes, man, I pulled. And what happened. He fell out all dramatic, like I cut his fucking jugular. Blood sprayed. It did spray in the front of the car, man. It sprayed on the dash and got all over me. And some of it got on the front seat. Anyway, when I got out, he was fucking on his hands and knees, bleeding like a pig. I reached in the back seat, I grabbed a handful of clothes, and I wiped the fucking windshield down. I wiped the fucking seat, wiped the blood off. And I took off, man. I took off. Now, this is how stupid I am, man. So, anyway, we get on the freeway. We're on the freeway, and neither one of us are talking. She's tripping, she's mad, she's scared, whatever the fuck she was thinking, she ain't talking to me. So, eventually, like, I get close to the city, and, you know, I tell her, hey, what's up? You want me to take your mom's pad, or what's up? We gonna kick it? What are you gonna do? And she's like, nah, I'm gonna just go to my mom's. She was like, you know, all the shit you told me, she was like, I see it's just a game. You ran game on me. You're not trying to settle down. She's like, yeah, I wasn't even trying to waste my time. I was like, all right, I'll drop you off at your mom's, but I gotta make a couple stops real quick first. Straight down to 16th and Mission. I get to the city, I go down 16th and Mission. What am I doing? I'm getting dope. As soon as I pull up to 16th, she already knows. You know, I had talked to her. She knew about that, what was down there in the city. She knew what that area consisted of. So when I pulled up, she was like, I'm gone. I'm out of here. Fuck this shit. This is ridiculous. So she took her baby's clothes, and she stormed off, man. I get some dope, I get loaded, I do my thing. That same night, I'm driving, I go up to my hood, I still got the car, I'm driving around fucking just mashing around and mobbing in that car, man. and I see some homies, and we're fucking I'm driving motherfuckers around where they want to go and shit. And at one point, I was on 24th and Folsom. I got out the car and I left it in the middle of the fucking street. And I remember there was a homie of mine, and he was like, "Hey B," he was like, "whose car is this?" I'm like, "I don't know." I was like, "Hey bro, that motherfucker's a crime scene, homie. You know what I mean? If you want it, you can have it, bro. But I'm telling you, it's a crime scene." And he didn't give a fuck. It was our little homie named New York. He was a cool little cat too, man. You guys from the city, you might know him. Anyway, he took off the car, and I went on to do my shit, man. I went on to hit a couple licks that night. I ended up robbing some cats, and I got fucking arrested the same fucking night. So check it out, man. I pick up I picked up another robbery in Frisco. So I had the original robbery. I had the auto theft that I was fighting now, that they originally gave me the deal on. Now I had I didn't get charged, but now I had this case to worry about in San Mateo. So anyway, I go to jail that same fucking night, man. Monday morning, I make my fucking court appearance. I bullshit you not, man. The bailiff, when they came to get me, she didn't even know that I had made it out to the streets. Because when she came to get me, she was like, "You ready for court?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I had been to this courtroom I had been going to this courtroom for like a good 6-7 months. So, I knew that bailiff from coming to court so many times. And she was like, I had told her, I was like, "Hey, what's going on with this other case that I got?" And she was like, "What case?" And I go, I picked up another robbery last night." And she's like, "You picked up another robbery? How'd you do that?" And I go, They released me last week. They OR'd me. So I got out, I picked up another robbery. She was like, "Oh shit." She was like, "I don't know nothing about that. Let me go find out." So anyway, she went, looked in the system. She was like, "You're right. Yep. They charged you. You're not going to court for that in this courtroom. You're going to another court later on." So anyway, I go to court later on. They hit me with these new charges. I'm in the county jail now. I'm sweating bullets, tripping on this other case out of San Mateo. You know what I mean? I hadn't heard nothing for like a week. And then one day, playing pinochle, and they call me for attorney visit. So I get up, wash my face real quick, and I go out there thinking it's an attorney. And I go to a attorney visiting room, and there's 2 cats in there. So I walk in, I'm like, what's going on, man? And they're like, "Hey, what's going on, Mr. Mendoza? Have a seat." And I'm like, "Who you guys with?" And they were like, "San Mateo robbery detail." And I'm like, "I ain't got nothing to say to you guys, man." And they're like, hey, just you might want to just listen, man." So I stood by the door, and I'm like, "What's up?" And they were like, "So what are you doing here in San Francisco? What kind of case you fight?" I was like, a robbery. They look at each other, and they just start laughing. And they were like, "A robbery, huh?" And they were like, "Hey, so you want to tell us where the car's at?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? What car? What car?" And they're like, "You know what car? The car that you robbed such and such." They said his name, and the car that you obviously have somewhere, you have parked somewhere, that you robbed such and such with. And I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I ain't got nothing to say, man. I'm out of here." And as I was leaving, they were like, "Well, I'll let you know, man, we're going to be back to get you. And if you think you're going to get up out of this one, you're greatly mistaken. This other case is, we're going to file charges. We're going to file kidnapping charges on you. Aside from that, we're also going to charge you with an attempted murder and just all kind of other shit." Anyway, so they did. I ended up getting paperwork for a double robbery, double kidnap, auto theft, um, attempted murder with 2 special allegations for the knife, robbing him with the knife. Man, these motherfuckers are good, man. San Mateo robbery detail, I guess they rolled around and did like a what do you call it, man? They did like a grid search of the whole Mission District, all these streets, until they found that fucking car. The homie left the car abandoned on one of these streets. I think off of Florida in the Mission District, Florida and like 23rd, somewhere down there. Anyway, they find the car. The car was never wiped down. It still has prints in it, and my fucking paperwork that I got released with from San Mateo County was on the floorboard in the back seat. Not only that, but the knife that was used was also in the back seat on the floor with blood on it. So I was in trouble, man. I was in trouble. You know, the case was ugly and it looked worse. You know, it looked worse because like I told you guys originally, when I first met these dudes, they were like little rocker dudes. They had little rocker Metallica, AC/DC shirts on. But as the case progressed, only one of them came to court, and that was the one, not the one I got released with, but his friend. He ended up coming to court, and when he came to court, he had a tube stuck in his throat, and in order for you to hear his voice, he had to put his finger over the tube. He was fucked up when he came in to testify. He was fucked up, but he came in to testify looking like a little preppy. There was no AC/DC shirts, no steel toe boots. He had on some little penny loafers and shit, man. Just straight looked like a little guppy, you know what I mean? And it was all a roll, man, but it worked. Anyway, I ended up reaching out to the dude I got released with from the jail, and I got a hold of him, and I had somebody make a threat and to basically telling him that if he showed up to my court appearance, that somebody was gonna come by and do something to him and anybody that was at his house. And he was like, "Hey, I'm not coming to court. I'm not doing nothing with this case. I'm not testifying. I ain't talked to nobody. As far as my boy, I can't speak on him." You know what I mean? I'm like, "Well, hey, you need to holler at your boy and tell him to stand down. Tell him to quit fucking coming to court, man. Shit ain't cool." So he did. He hollered at him, but it didn't do no good, man. You know, dude came to court. He came to all my court appearances, and he testified against me. He testified against me in prelim. Once they bound me over, so when I was in the county jail, and I'm gonna wrap it up right now, man. I want this to get too long. So when I was in the jail, and now I'm going to court on all these robberies now. I remember there was an older homeboy named Romello. I think his name was Romello. He was from Redwood City. Big dude, big yoked up cat. And I'm in the court tank with this dude, and he's like, "Hey, little homie," he's like, "Where you from, bro? You from the city?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man." And he's like, "What you doing out here?" And I'm like, "Man, I caught a case out there." And I give him some of the details of the case and what they had. I had just went into court. They offered me 7 years. And I turned it down. I was like, "Fuck, no, I ain't taking no 7 years." I had never even been to prison at that point. So when I tell the homie, he was like, "Bro, they offered you 7 years for a case like that. You fucking should have jumped on it, man." He was like, "Bro, you better call your attorney, do whatever you can to try to get that case, try to get that time back, because, bro, they're gonna wash you, man." And I'm like, "You think so, man?" He's like, "Hell yeah, man." He's like, "Bro, I've been coming to this. I'm from this county. I've been coming here my whole fucking life, right? They wash you up. They don't fuck around out here." So I'm like, "Man, bro, you know what I mean?" I fucking start banging on the door. Boom, 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 boom. I start banging on the door. So after the homie tells me to go back in there, and I basically get the attention of the bailiff, and he goes in there and he talks to my attorney. They pull me back out. They pull me back out. I go into the courtroom and I jump on it. I told the judge that I thought about it, and after further consideration, I wanted to take the 7 years. So that's what I did. I went back in, took the 7 years. They gave me a sentencing date. Boom. And I was good to go. You know, the other thing that I kind of left open is the situation that happened in the county jail with the Africanos. I told you guys how it escalated and how some of the Africanos in 6th North hollered at me, or I hollered at them, and they were supposed to reach out to their folks down there in 2 South. I don't think I ever really got into the details of how it ended up getting resolved, or what happened as a result of those discussions. But I'll get into that in my next one. I'll kind of touch on that a little bit more, as well as some other situations that I would end up getting into on my first term, the first time I ended up hitting San Quentin. So with that said, man, this is episode 7. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. And with that said, I'm out.